This is Straight Talk with Atlanta native Greg Fann, the Preacher Man, and his sidekick Shanan Jones. Frank discussions of issues affecting the ATL, Fulton County, the state of Georgia, the nation, and around the world. And now, here they are, live and in living color, the team of Jones and Fann, the Preacher Man.
Welcome today to another edition of Straight Talk with yours truly, Greg Fann, the Preacher Man, and Shanan E. Jones. And we thank all of those of you who check out Straight Talk and tell Shanan and I when we're at CBC, when we're at the South Fulton Ministers meeting, or wherever we may be, together or separate, that you check us out each and every week. And also tune in to us on each and every Sunday at 7 p.m. on WIGO 1570 AM on your AM dial. Don't forget to like us, subscribe, make comments to our YouTube channel. And you can always email us rather at straighttalk1362@gmail.com. Today we have a great program. You know, there's a lot going on, Shannon. There's a lot going on. And we're going to talk about a little bit that's going on today. So Big Papa, I don't hear our third co-host Samuel. He's all right? Big Papa, are you all right? Do what now?
Can you hear me? I said Samuel contract negotiations.
Oh, Samuel's
he made a couple. He made a couple of guest appearances, but we working on his contract.
Big Papa and Little Samuel. All right. They'll duo. Well, anyway, we're going to come back on the other side. We're going to talk about some things that's going on. As we know that now that Kamala Harris has the number of votes or delegates she needs to run for president. So Shannon's going to give you analysis of the paralysis of what he feels that's going to take place during this election cycle between Vance and between Trump and Kamala, because she hasn't picked her vice president candidate yet and who's going to be on the ticket with her. But we'll be talking about that a little bit, but we got to talk about what Miss C wants to talk about right now. We're going to hear from Miss C, and we'll see you, Shanan and I, on the other side. Don't stretch that dial. Don't you go nowhere. We'll be back with you right here on Straight Talk.
Hi, Miss C here with your 3-minute news blast or more. I hope you've been enjoying your summer and you're staying safe and happy and all that other good stuff. Hey, Greg. Hey, Shanan. Good to see you, too. Listen, let me tell you about a few little tidbits of news, okay? You, I don't know if I'm going to tell you or not. Anyway, I can't read my own handwriting. Anyway, Starline, your gateway to community resources for seniors living in Fulton County, offers free information and referral services for adults 55 and older, their families or caregivers, and the community. The Starline helps seniors who want to remain in their homes, and that's so important, who want to remain in their homes, and also is called to age in place. And it serves as a gateway for community resources or referrals for service providers. You can speak to a specialist Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5, by calling 404-613-6000. That's 404-613-6000. Or you can send an email to seniorservices@fultoncountyga.gov. That's seniorservices@fultoncountyga.gov. And listen, I want to tell you something about a good friend of mine, Dr. Anthony Stroman. He will be presenting The Power of Health Education in a workshop on Saturday, August 3rd, 2 p.m. at the Riverdale Library, 6131 Riverdale Road in Riverdale, Georgia. If you'd like to get more information on the workshop, contact Dr. Stroman at 404 and I'm sorry, I forgot to write down his phone number. The phone number is 678-907-3135. That's 678-907-3135. And if you'd like for us to announce your event, just email it to me at straighttalknews1362 at gmail.com. That's straighttalknews1362 at gmail.com. And I'd like for you to do 4 things before we go. I'd like for you to, what's number 1? I want you to like us. And I want you to subscribe to us. And you'll see those little buttons on the front of your screen there. Number 3, I'd like for you to leave comments. Let us know how we're doing. And number 4, what is number 4? Share us. Don't keep Straight Talk News to yourself. Let everybody know about Straight Talk News. We would certainly appreciate it. And listen, in the meantime and in between time, may the Lord God bless you real good. Bye now.
All
Let's
right,
do it.
all right. We're back on the other side after Miss C with her news and information. If you have news and information you want to share with Miss C, well, you can always send it to Miss C at Straight Talk News 1362 at gmail.com. That's Straight Talk News at 1362 gmail.com. But if you said news and information and you want to be a guest on program, we'd love to have you as a guest. You know, if we can have point, counterpoint. Sometimes Samuel's dad, Big Papa, and I have point, counterpoints. So we don't have a problem with that. We can agree to disagree, but not to be disagreeable. You know, one thing that I've been saying, Shanan, is that the problem with us as a people is that we find things that we don't like, that we can't agree on. And then that one point that we can't agree on, we lose sight on the things that we can agree on. And I think that's where we are in our politics today, is that we can't cross the aisle and we can't agree to disagree. I mean, we can say that, but in reality, we can't agree to disagree. In relationships, you have to, you know, your wife and my wife and our relationship with our wives or significant others, we all have those points in our relationship where we don't agree. We don't see things eye to eye. But those things that we don't see eye to eye, we kind of put that to the side and we don't deal with that. And we deal with those things that we agree on. If we can come together as a people and agree to say, well, I don't agree with you on this, but I'm not going to fall out with you because of that disagreement. Because me and you might have some disagreement, but it hadn't caused us to fall out because we have so many things that we have in that we agree on that we left what we disagree to the side. If people can do that, this country would be a better country. This world would be a better world if we could just agree to disagree, but not to be disagreeable, and not just say it, but actually do it in deeds and in action. So here we are now at a stage in our life, in our country, where democracy is on trial. And I just wanted to just share this, Shanan, and then I'm going to turn it over to you. I read this, and when I read it, and then one of my members is watching us now. Hello, Linda. She's letting me know that she's watching Straight Talk now. But one of the things that I want to say is that a congressman, and it's interesting now, Joseph Morelle, a Democrat from New York, he's introducing a constitutional amendment. He did it yesterday, Wednesday, seeking to undergo the Supreme Court decision that former president can enjoy presumptive immunity from any criminal act while they are in office. So we'll see how that can be kicked down the road, because we know that Donald J. Trump, I would put the J in there. Samuel trying to join us, I hear him.
Yeah, he came out of negotiations. Excuse me about that radio audience.
But anyway, Donald J. Trump, we know he committed 34 felonies. We know that he helped incite a riot. We know these things. We saw with our own eyes when people can say what they want to say and spend it as a tourist walking through a Capitol. I never knew tourists walked through a Capitol who beat down the doors and beat up police officers and all the things that they did, and senators and Congress people and staff people running for their lives because they done throw smoke bombs and all that kind of stuff. But it was a tour. I don't want to ever go on a tour like that myself. I don't ever go on a tour like that. I don't. And you and I both have visited the Capitol, right, in D.C., and none of that was going on when we were touring, right? So, but we know that he did that. So at least this congressman is trying to get some change in terms of immunity, whether or not a president would have immunity if he or she commit a criminal act while in office. So that's my 2 cents for right now. But Shannon, I'm gonna turn it over to you because now we're in the throes of this thing. Now Biden has stepped down, and you have went away. Well, Biden has stepped down, and Kamala is now the presumptive. Well, actually, really, she has the delegates. They're saying she has the delegates to actually be on the ticket now. So here we go. We're off to the races. So tell me what your thoughts and your feelings are about the Harris run race against Donald Trump and J.D. Vance.
I think that it couldn't have played out more perfectly. I was extremely concerned with the decision, not so much as the decision. It never, the fact that Biden should not have sought a second term was something that I thought about when he was running for his first term, when they were talking about it, to be to be the nominee for the first term. I'm talking back in 2020. I figured that he should do one term, and then I believe he even said that he would not seek more than one term. I think the timing of 115 days out, or 120 days when they really start hitting it before the election, was, for me as a pastor, as a leader, as a strategist, as an organizer, I didn't appreciate the timing of it because I felt that it could really begin to cause people to move into apathy, and that it could begin to erode the base. So I wasn't pleased with the timing of it, though I understood that it perhaps needed to happen. His choice of his vice president, I think, was a wise one. It did not surprise me. I think that she has been an effective vice president to this president. They seem to have had a good working relationship. It did not seem to me like a Reagan-Bush relationship. It seemed very much to me like a Clinton-Gore relationship. It didn't even seem like a Trump-Pence relationship. It really seemed to me like an Obama and Biden relationship. She is a great choice. And then, of course, historically, what this means. The Trump machine picked J.D. Vance because Trump did not want another Pence. And so his youthfulness, as Reagan said of Mondale, his youthfulness and his lack of experience did not bother Trump, because really, as Scaramucci, Trump's longtime friend and advisor and about a 5-day communications director at the White House, said today, was that when he looked at Trump's body language when J.D. Vance was talking, he said that what J.D. Vance doesn't know is that he's merely an employee of the president. And that's all he needs him to be. And so the choice of J.D. Vance would have been great for Trump running against a Biden, because Trump wanted to exercise a strength thing and a power thing. And he was more interested in being able to beat Joe Biden in a game of golf than to beat him in debates or in policies or anything else, because he wanted to show his prowess. So what ends up happening is Biden lets him get through his convention, tells him that I think we need to ratchet down some of the violence and the vitriol that's in our language and cool this, and remember that the that the right wing and the left wing are all a part of the same bird, and that for the good of the country, we need to bring this down. And let's think about a form of unity. The president sat there looking like he had been changed and that the angels in heaven had signed his name. And
You mean Biden? You mean Biden? I mean Trump sit there
Trump
and looked
sat there.
at
Who
that.
did I say?
Right.
Biden?
You said the president.
I'm sorry.
You mean
The
Biden?
former president,
You mean Trump?
Trump.
Yeah, yeah, Trump
The
did.
former president Trump sat there for his convention, like he was this new Donald Trump, and then he came out and did what he did and attacked the president, attacked Nancy Pelosi, went totally against unity, and did all that. The president allowed him to do all that on last Thursday night and let him through the weekend, let the press deal with that. And then Sunday dropped the bomb about 1:45, 1:43, that he was going to step aside for the good of the country. And you think you got some power as the chairman of the deacon board or the head usher, but imagine being president of the United States of America. Imagine being the commander in chief of the most powerful military in the world. Imagine being the president and the head, the most powerful man in the world, and to step aside in a world that is filled with misogyny, to allow a woman to have an opportunity to become the leader of this nation. So I thought that was very wonderful. And then here comes J.D. Vance, saying that, minimizing racism and calling Kamala Harris and other women that are childless, biologically childless, calling them childless. What does he call them? Childless cat women. Childless cat women. Women who own cats but have no children, and that are upset about that and angry about that. And I would caution Mr. Vance about that, because he's a Catholic, and there are a whole lot of childless, cat-owning nuns in the Catholic Church that are praying for J.D. Vance as he's demonizing them and speaking against them. So I'm excited about this race, Bishop. I think that I have a sense that the God of justice is at work in this, and arrogance will have its place, and I think that arrogance will end up finding itself not in the seat of power, but on the sidelines when November the 5th comes.
You know, I'm glad you gave the analysis, because this is a movement. It's a movement. It's a fired up movement, and you're seeing all kinds of people coming into the movement. There are a couple things I want to share today. Had breakfast, and the gentleman I was with this morning asked a question of the waitress. She's maybe in her early 20s, mid 20s, and he asked her how did she feel about Kamala Harris, and her answer was no. Now, to look at her, you would have felt that she was a Kamala Harris supporter. To look at her, so he asked her why. She said, I want to keep that to myself. I don't want to share that. She said, but what she did say, she said she didn't care. She wasn't feeling Trump. She wasn't feeling Biden, and at this point, she's not feeling Harris. And so it's a movement, but I think the messaging that has got to reach out to people, because just like you said, the timing is now, but we were so polarized by people not wanting Trump nor Biden, because they felt that Biden was too old, and they felt that Trump was a traitor to the country, did not uphold the Constitution, and other things that people felt bad about. And looking at a reporter who asked one of Trump's supporters, how did he feel about it? He said, I think we're in trouble. I think we are in trouble. because they see this movement. It's a movement, but we have to help educate our young people about, and I'm going to turn that over to you when I say this about this republic, about this democracy, and how it's at stake, and how Hamilton, as the president said last night, said we have to fight to keep it because it does not have to stay the same. And I think many of our young people, because they're privileged, because they've been able to live a privileged life because of what others have done in the past, our forefathers have done to get us to this point, that they don't realize that it was a struggle to get here, and they don't realize about that struggle. They don't fully understand it because if you because they can identify with it. So if you just talk a little bit about what Biden said last night, I appreciate that in terms of about this republic and about whether or not it will stand, and if why it won't stand if we do go into it by doing what we need to do. And then I'm going to switch over to Project 2025 after you make this comment.
Well, absolutely. When the framers framed the Constitution, they framed it not necessarily around political parties. In fact, in the Federalist Papers, there was great caution about the two-party system. There was great, great fear and trepidation, and Benjamin Franklin said that we would the format would be a republic if we could keep it, if we can keep it. And you keep it by keeping the democratic values first and foremost. I want to grab just quickly. I want to grab that server today that you dealt with, and say that we do have to absolutely continue to keep commenting on and educating on the importance of a democracy, and to understand that our leaders are not our God. That we're not looking to worship someone. I'm not looking to elect a pope, though I do want to elect a role model. I think that by the nature of one being the leader of a country, that you are a role model. And I think that that a lot of times we look and are swayed by these kind of personality or the press about a personality, and we miss the policy, and we miss the focus and the purpose, which is destiny. Now, the sister that was on the phone sister that was, excuse me, that was at the restaurant, it's a real situation, because there were 44,000 women that got on a call within 6 hours of the president writing his letter, and 880,000 donors began to give that night, and they raised $60 million over the first 24 hours, excuse me, and then by 36 hours they had raised $80 million, and then by some 48 hours after Kamala Harris was really mounting her campaign, the Biden-Harris campaign had raised $100 million, with another $50 million pledged to come their way. So there was great anticipation and great activism, but the race is not to the swift. And that's the work that we have to continue doing. There were 44,000 women on the call and another 100,000 trying to get on the call that couldn't. The next night, the men got together and raised about $20 million on their call. And then the preachers raised a certain amount of money on a call. And there's another call tonight with Chloe. So the movement is happening. And Donna Brazile was saying that she's a child of the movement, who ran the call the other night with the 44,000, Bishop. She said that she was a child of the movement. And under the Biden campaign, when she was looking at Trump, she said, Run, Jesse, Run was a movement. Reagan was a movement. Morning in America, again, the first Make America Great campaign was Reagan. And that was a movement. She said Barack Obama was a movement. She didn't feel that with the Biden campaign. And she said you can't beat a movement with a traditional political campaign. So we do feel we feel the energy of a movement, and we would say that it's a movement, but we've got much work to do, and we have to stay focused not on personalities, because if we stay focused on personalities, they're going to be cutting the legs off of your trying to cut the legs off your candidate. But if you look at how the Republicans are dealing with Trump, is they you know they believe that he has the conviction and to be president. We know he has the conviction. He has 34 of them. But that does not stop them from focusing on Donald Trump, because they're focusing on the MAGA movement and Project 2025, those 920 pages that are going around. And we have to be focused on democracy and press forward with that and educate on that and push for that in our movement, and not allow the personality attacks to stop us from our sojourn to destiny of democracy.
Well, I want to just talk about Project 2025. They already playing out Project 2025 here in Georgia. The superintendent,
Yep.
state superintendent of school, he said that they were not going to fund in public school African American study. One of the planks
Yep.
in Project 2025 is to defund all monies for African American history in studies in school. Well, let me just tell you about a movement. When he announced that, there were elected officials who began to say, well, what we're going to do, we black elected officials, what we're going to do is we're going to give the schools in our district this amount of money so they can still teach it. We had
Right.
Caucasian young people, along with black kids and others, Indian kids, I mean, just an array of kids who said, what's wrong with teaching it? What's wrong with teaching it? After that show you, this is what I'm talking about, a movement. When they said what they said, and they put their money where their mouth is, the superintendent said he changes his mind. He is going to fund African American study in public schools. Now, how much funding they're going to do, we got to watch it. We got to make sure that it's done here in Georgia. So if people listening in other places, we need to let you know they already start trying to carry out Project 2025. And there are other things that's on that project that they're slowly moving to do in this time. So I just want to share that. But as we get ready, Shanan, to almost close today, I want to just thank the pastors who are engaged, the members who are engaged, who understand when early voting is, and when early voting is in October. You got registration. You got to be registered before then. Then you got the election coming up in November. Just want to just give you a few dates. We're going to continue to talk about that. So I want to just send our condolences and our sympathy out to the Jackson family, the Congresswoman Jackson, who was a staunch fighter standing up for justice and standing up for equality as a legislator. And I just want to just say that we're losing leaders like that, that's really going to be fighting for the cause, for people, for humanity, for democracy. So let us lift her family up in prayer tonight and know that she's gone from here, but her work will never end. And then I want to talk about the young lady,
The Jackson and Lee family, Sheila
Jackson
Jackson Lee.
Right. Thank you, D. I want to talk about,
Yes, sir.
I think it's Cochran, you know what I'm talking about, the Congresswoman out of Texas. That sister is something else. I was watching her in that hearing that Jim Jordan was having, trying to deal with Bragg, right? About his indictment of Donald Trump, right? So I'm listening to them, and boy, the way she broke it down, she said that we do not have the authority to deal with state stuff. This is not a federal case. This was a state case, and in a state case, an indictment is brought before a grand jury, and a grand jury of citizens hear that indictment and the evidence that's brought before them to true bill it or not true bill it. Once they true bill it, that means you're going to be indicted, and there's going to be a case. And that's what he did. They followed the process. It was citizens who said he broke the law and he ought to be tried on the 34 charges that he was indicted on. And it was citizens that said 12 who his lawyer and him helped select to hear the case. Hello. They decided that he was guilty on all 34 counts. All 34 counts. These were not political operatives. These were just everyday working American citizens who heard the fact, and after hearing the fact, they came down saying, you're guilty. He's guilty of 34 different counts. Not one, but 34 of them. So we have to understand that this is what's going on. We don't have a monarchy. We have a democracy. No one man rules. No one person rules. That's why you have checks and balances with the Congress and the legislative branch and the congressional officers, and then you have the courts. Those are the branch of officers. So now that's supposed to be check and balances, but that check and balance is by gone, because why? They're marching to the beat of the Project 2025. They want to implement it. They want to do away with democracy, and they want to change the way we're governed. And I want to leave you with this. If Donald Trump gets to be the president of the United States, he's already told us what he's going to do. He said, media people, we're going to change some of these stations who've been against me. We know that was more than joke, because they cut him off that day because he couldn't say he couldn't come on after the assassination attempt, right? So they cut him off. He couldn't even come on. But they already started. He said, okay. He said, I'm going to do away with media, the press. I'm going to control the press and what's out there. And guess what? He's going to deal with freedom of speech. Like Shanan and I talking now. Hey, we may not be able to say the things that we say now if he's the governor. They may want to put us in jail for saying these kinds of things that we're saying now. Hello, somebody. And then freedom of assembly. You got to think about how broad freedom of assembly is. And people say, oh, they'll never do that. They'll never do that. They'll never shut down churches. They'll never do this. They'll never do that. Listen, never say never. Never say never. I remember as I was the president of the union, Fulton County, and they were talking about making all employees unclassified. And they said, oh, they'll never do that. They're doing that over at the court. They're doing it to the people in the court. They're not going to do it to us. They did it to them, and then they came back and did it to the others and made all employees unclassified. So then when people don't have appeal rights now, they can appeal on unfair firing or suspension or demotion. They can't appeal now. But don't say what they can't do, because those people who are there, they can do it because their votes determine what the laws or the ordinance or the policy is going to be from the local level all the way to the federal level. So brothers and sisters, keep your eyes open and keep your ears open and understand that your voice is important, but let your voice be heard and speak against the things that Project 2025 is trying to do to your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren. Well, that's all I have to say, Shanan.
What form of government will we have? A republic, if we can keep it. So we've got a responsibility and fight for democracy.
Well, this ain't.
Or it'll go away.
It will go away.
Oh, okay.
But this ain't that's all right, Shannon. We finna go away for this segment. It ain't been nothing but straight talk with yours to the great Fann, the preacher man, and Shannon E. Jones. And I want to let you know, don't forget to like us, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to make comments, and don't forget to share on our YouTube channel. You can email us at Straight Talk. That's Straight Talk 1362@gmail.com. You can send it to Miss C at Straight Talk 1362, Straight Talk News at 1362@gmail.com. And check it out this Sunday and every Sunday at 7 p.m. On WIGO 1570 on your AM dial. Until our next broadcast, this ain't been nothing but Shannon, but what? Straight Talk.